Hey everyone, in today's instructional video, we are going to be looking at the responsive classroom. We're going to talk about what it is, specific principles and strategies that accompany this approach to teaching, and how to set you up to start implementing this in your classroom. Now, we decided to take the modern classroom approach to that, which is why we're kind of doing this instructional video. I know it might be a little different from what some of us are used to. So in just looking at this, just know that you will be provided with all of this video, as well as this presentation, and then all the links that we talk about today. So looking at responsive classroom, what is it? It's student-centered. It's centered on social emotional learning, and it's evidence-based, and basically it's a way to just create a safe and engaging and very joyful environment in your classroom. I think a lot of us do this, or we aspire to do this, but nevertheless, it is something that we should be striving to do at all times. And looking here, the core beliefs to the modern classroom, to responsive classroom, is that students need to learn a set of social and emotional competencies. And a lot of us kind of focus on these competencies without even realizing it. Some of us focus on more of these than some of the other ones. I know with our students, especially self-control is a very difficult thing for some of our boys to kind of, especially in 6th grade, they struggle with impulsiveness. And I think we're always trying to get students to be more responsible, to cooperate more with their peers, to be more assertive in their voice and what they want and what they need. And then empathy seems to be one that both teachers and students struggle with. So this is probably one of the main focuses that we kind of took away from this course, in just teaching these students to have empathy. The pandemic has had an impact on them, but growing, they naturally just need to learn this empathy. So those are kind of the core beliefs. It's just trying to focus on getting students to learn these skills, these competencies. Now, there are 6 principles, and the one that probably stuck the most with me is that social and emotional skills are just as important as teaching academic content. And the reason this kind of stuck with me the most is just simply that if you don't engage with these students on a social and emotional level, then they're not going to pay attention to you on an academic level. And so from there, then you begin to, the how we teach is as important as what we teach, so that builds on that. The growth occurs through social interaction. So if they don't want to socialize in your classroom, if they don't want to socialize with you, then the thought process is learning is not going to follow. If they don't feel safe, if they don't feel joy, if they don't feel included, then they're less likely to learn in your class. And just, I think Dr. Pinello kind of focuses on this every year, just making us get in contact with the parents and just have that one-on-one relationship with the parents, so that if anything happens in the classroom, you have the parent to lean on, but also you can get a better idea of the student, where they're coming from, anything that they may need extra from you. So again, I like to think that these are things that most of us do anyway, but it's just nice to be reminded. It's nice to just know that to focus maybe more on this. So the 4 domains are just engaging academics, developing a positive community, having effective classroom management. You gotta love having dogs. Gotta love it. I don't know if you heard it, but I'm assuming you did, because they're just barking at nothing right now. So developmentally responsive teaching. And this is just, all of these kind of just focus into just student-centered learning, making sure that everything that you are doing is fun, challenging, relevant, that it is always positive for the students, engaging for the students, that they feel that they belong, or they feel some form of significance in your classroom, that you are managing the classroom correctly and appropriately, and that there's not a loss of focus from the students because of that. Again, I think these are things that we do, but they are important, and that is what this approach seems to follow. Now, in this next section here, this is something that we kind of tried last year with that red book, if you remember, but we kind of just stuck our toe into the shallow end. We didn't go any further. At least that's my interpretation of it. So there are these things called RAMs, or responsive advisory meetings. And so responsive advisory meetings, they serve as an anchor for adolescents, right? It's a routine that we get into every single day. At least that's what this class recommends, is that this approach is that we perform these every single day, these RAM meetings, all right? And it just helps for them to start to build those competencies that we talked about earlier, that self-control, that empathy, all of those things. It helps for them to build those things. So what is a RAM? What do RAMs do? They build student-student affiliation, they energize and re-engage, they reflect and recalibrate, extend learning through themes, support academic readiness, they strengthen relationships, and they develop communication and social skills. They do all of these things. And so the way a RAM looks, right, there are 4 main components to it. There's an arrival and a welcome. So the teacher welcomes each student by name as they enter the classroom. And then we move into announcements. In advance, the teacher writes an interactive message and displays it so it can be easily seen and read by all students. Then we move into an acknowledgement. In pairs or small groups, students share their responses to a prompt in the announcements message, a piece of news about themselves or ideas about a topic related to their studies or interests. And then we move into an activity. The whole group does a fun, lively activity that's focused on the specific purpose of the meeting. And so this ideally could work as your warm-up each day, could be tied into your content each day as well. But it's something that it's like it said earlier, it's more than just a morning meeting, but it's a way to get everyone engaged first thing in the morning and just get a pulse check and it's just a great way to start the day each day. Now, granted, is this something that you will maybe be able to do every single day of the week? Probably not, but it's a goal to be doing them routinely and frequently. So here's a video. I'm not going to play the video because I'm recording here, but this will be provided for you. This is kind of an example of an actual RAM. If you'd like to see one firsthand, this is what a RAM will look like. And then also, I'm not going to play this video on consequences versus punishment, but it's a really impactful video that I recommend you watch. And again, I'm not going to play it now, but it kind of just tells you the difference between, like, okay, there are consequences for this versus punishment. And again, this is things that I think all teachers do know, but either I'm not going to say some of us have lost that idea of what we all know. It's just, I think it's nice to be reminded of the difference between the two. So again, this is something that you are required to do. So please make sure that you click on this link and complete this VDOE requirement for cultural competency. It says that you had the training, and then it'll give you probably a certificate or something along those lines. But you need this for renewal of your license. So please make sure you complete this. All right. So I think this is the last thing. Let me see. There might be one more thing here. I think this is the last thing we're going to talk about. Our brain breaks. And now brain breaks are something that I continue to want to start putting in my classroom, and there's a list of so many that we're going to provide for you of all these different brain breaks that you will see and that you can use in your classroom. But brain breaks are great ways to get students energized, but they're also a great way to calm them down. I never thought about them as a way to calm students down, but they work in a way of calming students down. And there's brain breaks for every single student, some students are going to love all of them, some students are going to love some of them, some students are going to only love a few of them, but there is a brain break out there for every single student. There were some that they made us do that I was like, oh, I cannot believe you're making me do this again. But once I got into it, I was like, I kind of got into it. There were a couple that ended up being, because I'm an introvert, so it just ended up being a lot more fun than I had anticipated. So they're a great way, especially now that we have 90-minute bells. You're going to need to start putting more and more brain breaks or thinking about different ways to put those brain breaks in. And they're just fun for the kids. If I'm having fun as an adult, I think the kids are going to be having fun as well. So here, if you click on this will give you a great resource for all these different brain breaks that you can use. Okay. Actually, I don't think that you can click on it, or you can just, or you can just scroll over as well. But some of these were a lot of fun that I never thought I would have fun with. The Wuxia Wario one I didn't really fully understand. But what was the one? Anyway, I'm not going to waste the time scrolling through this. There are a lot of fun brain breaks. You can vary it up and make it more engaging for students. Okay. And so the last thing here is this is going to be part of your should do moment of your modern classroom approach to this training here. So we've provided you with the first 10 lessons where you should already have access to the first 10 lessons just by going to this book that you have. If you don't have the book, if you've misplaced the book, please don't worry. We have them linked here for you as well. But the first 10 lessons, what we learned from this class is the goal of this book, the purpose of this book is actually to go from this. We weren't doing this last year. We were kind of like picking whatever lessons that we wanted to pick. And actually the goal of the book is to start from the beginning and work your way through it. So we want to try to set you up here with 10 RAMs to start the year with and be prepared with for the first 10 days or however you decide to present this approach to your classroom. And of course, we will be here if you have any questions or if you need anything from us. And then there's just some more links for you if you need them. So if you have any questions for any of us, please let us know. I did go a little long on this video. Generally speaking, you're supposed to keep it around 5 or 6 minutes for students of our age group. But you're adults, and I think you can handle an 11.5 to 12-minute video. Sorry for going long. There was kind of a lot to cover. And if you need us for anything, just let us know. The next steps are going to be completing your must-dos. And your must-dos, the first thing that you have to do is you have to complete a Google form, just a mastery check on going through this training. It's super quick. It's 5 questions. And then you have to complete that training that I showed you earlier. And then from there, the thing about Modern Classroom is you don't have to do anything else if you don't want to, but it is recommended that you move into the should do's and then of course your aspire to do's. So with your should do's, you want to get those 10 lessons and get those ready and prepared for the start of the school year. And then your aspire to do's would be to then continue working on the next ones. Okay, and that I would recommend either with your team or with your content, depending on how you want to approach it. I think team will work just because you're not going to be like teaching the same thing multiple times with the kids. But that is all for today. So have a great day, everyone.